Hi, lovely audience. Just wanted to very quickly, while people are still popping into the room, to do a very brief and congratulatory, appreciatory introduction to Pip Cleaves. So Pip, who is an Adobe Creative Educator innovator, is a systems leader, educator, and design thinker who believes young people are not just the future, they're the now. As a chief learning architect of Global Village Learning, Pip is reimagining what education can be when it's learner-led, human-centred, and fueled by creativity, curiosity, and community. With decades of experience in public education, consultancy, innovation, and strategic design, as well as ukulele and singing, Pip brings together bold ideas and practical action. She's led transformative learning initiatives across Australia and globally with a focus on digital literacy, capability building, and social impact. So without further ado, I would like to introduce and leave the floor to Pip. I will be sitting in the background monitoring the chat. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to go on and raise them throughout, and then we'll make sure that there's some time at the end of the session to answer any issues or questions that you might have. Thank you. Over to you, Pip.
Thanks so much, Al. Always that awkward to hear about yourself and you forget what you wrote when you had to do the application. So hi. I'm just going to share my screen for a second. So bear with me while I talk about mundane things, just while I do the clicky click in the background. I am Pip Cleaves. I am currently the Chief Learning Architect at Global Village Learning, which is, as you're about to see, an independent school in the Macedon Ranges of Victoria. Today, can I just get a thumbs up, Al, that you're seeing the presentation and we're good to go, please?
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go, Pip.
Thank you so much. So, and Al, can I ask you to give me a 5-minute wind up? Because anyone who knows me knows that I get very excited in these things. If you do have questions, everyone, please. I've just walked out of 2 days in a conference where I had to sit in a large room with over 500 people and just sit quietly like a good girl. And I was so frustrated about half a day in that I needed to talk and ask questions and put myself into the space. So if you do feel like you want to ask questions, please do. I do have the chat open and I will ask questions I will answer those as we go. I think it's important to have a dialogue, not just a blurt and if there's time at the end, have conversations. So feel free to ask as we go and I'll do my best to stop and question as we go. So today I'm going to be talking to you about a couple of my favorite babies at the moment. And the first of that is a jail. Never in my life did I think I would say that, but also about creativity and AI and the way we do learning at Global Village Learning. So come with me on a bit of a journey as we look into the possible when you can remove restraints and play in a space that you know is going to be impacting young people in a much deeper way than I've ever been able to do before. So Global Village Learning is in our core mission, in our core vision, we are empowering learners to build communities that positively impact the world. So we believe that every young person, when they're ready for their next space in the world after us, are able to participate in a community, to build a community, and to be the humans that the communities around them need. Because as the world moves forward, and as we really tap into curiosity and creativity, it's that sense of community that is going to be the most important thing for us, if not already important at the moment. I'm sure many of you are aware of that. So GVL, Global Village Learning, we're a growing movement. We started with a new Gisborne campus. We were traditionally Gisborne Montessori School until about 22 when Peter Hutton, who is my co-lead, stepped into the role of executive director at Global Village at Gisborne Montessori and saved it from having its gates closed within the next 3 months. So after a year of some intensive financial work, Peter invited me down from New South Wales, where I had been principal of strategic implementation across 4 high schools concurrently. Nice job. And he didn't beg me, that's the wrong word. He strongly encouraged me to come and join him. So of course I blindly did, packed my car, I always say the highway behind me was burning as I drove through over the border into into Victoria, sorry. And there began something I didn't realize I personally needed, but also that would be my space. So we currently have 200 learners or 235 learners if I include the 35 guides at Gisborne campus. It is a 4-year-old to 20-year-olds at that campus, and we're placed in about 45, 50 minutes from Melbourne City itself. It's a lovely, beautiful, I didn't realise how gorgeous this area of the world is. We have just purchased Old Castlemaine Jail, which is a little bit further north of Gisborne. We will intend for that to be a secondary space with maximum of 200 learners. We have 2 buses that we have created as a return to school program for those who are struggling to get to schools, who may be homeschooled. So our buses are our Unbounded program, help young people to settle back into the notion of being part of a more formalised schooling system. And we're working towards GVL micro campuses, helping schools to create schools within a school. And then finally, our Global Village Studio, which is our creative educator community, is a bit of a professional learning arm that Peter and I are currently starting to build. So watch this space and you can watch more of what we're doing. So that's what GVL is at the moment. Where it's going to be in the next 10 years, who knows? We are continually trying to find new campuses and new ways in which we can implement an independent learning community. So at GVL Gisborne, we have grown 74% in our population in the last 12 months, which I think is very indicative of some movement in education at the moment. We have 4 autonomous learning hubs. I'll explain those a bit in a second. We're open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with our core learning hours from 9 till 3:30. So we do offer a sunrise club and a sunset club for those who need some extra time for parents to do the parent thing. And we do different club activities during those space. It is not an OOSH or an out-of-school care system. It is a program for clubs and activities. We are proving to be very scalable. We're very financially strong, and AI is our core tech deck at GVL. So our quirky, at GVL, we don't have teachers or students. We have guides and young people. We don't have uniforms. We don't do bells. We don't do timetables. We don't have compulsory subjects. We don't have a mandatory years. You can stay until you're 20 years of age. You can come back and do your online uni work sitting in a space that's comfortable for you, helping to tutor and support other young people. We don't do homework. We don't really do administration. AI does a lot of our administrative work. In fact, my office, if you like, is just among some other guides, and we all do our work together. Peter's office is in his bag, his boffice. True story, we had to put an Apple tag in it because he kept losing his boffice, and we got sick of looking on the CCTV footage to try and find where he left it last. So thankfully that helps. We don't do textbooks, we don't do worksheets, we don't do grades, we don't do exams. We do PAT adaptive testing. We don't do detentions. Shoes are optional. And if anyone knows Macedon, you know today's about 8 degrees maximum, 8 degrees Celsius maximum. And we do have kids that prefer to be shoeless all year. I don't know how they do it, but they do. And most importantly, no timetable. We do have some other structures in place for our young people, though. Our campi. We have on the right-hand side is our New Gisborne campus. So at New Gisborne, we have a beautiful creek. We have about 5 acres. We have a BMX track that was created with Dr. Dave Camilleri from Melbourne University, who has a PhD in BMX riding and communities. So we invited Dave to come along and alongside our young people design, build and maintain a BMX track and build a community around that. That's one of the favourite things we love to have 24/7, except for on the rainy days. It's a bit slippery slidey on those days. We do tree climbing. We do base building, so hideout, treehouse building. We have horses, donkeys, sheep, goats, snakes, lizards, What other creepy crawlies do I ignore? Turtles, frogs, all the things. So we have a big animal program that young people manage the animals. So we're very much a young people directed, learner directed, adult supported environment. Down the bottom, we have Peter in the nature. Anyone who knows Peter will be not surprised to know that he likes to get out on his tractor every now and then and do the rounds. The kids, of course, adore this and love to wave at Peter on his tractor. We are just known as Peter and Pip, as is every guide known by their first name, and everyone in our community knows each other. And that I don't think I've ever been in a school before where I can say which parents drive which cars and how I can, yeah, that is a huntsman spider, that I can duck out to whenever and say hello whenever we need. So it's a very open and deeply learning community. So I just saw the comment just confirming that's a huntsman spider. Yes, this was on this photo, young Theodore likes the Spidey types, and this was called Mr. Sparkle. Anyone who knows Simpsons, hat tip. So Mr. Sparkle lived under Theodore's hat for about 2 weeks. We think it was the same spider. We're not too sure. Could have been multiple ones until one day Mr. Sparkle looked like he needed to be freed. So I somehow managed to make that happen. But yeah, Theodore, you never know what he's going to show you, including yabbies. The lands that I'm from, we call them crutches, but this down here, of course, we call them yabbies. So on to our beautiful favourite campi, our old Castlemaine jail. So in the top left-hand side here is the jail, and then we have Beryl the bus off on her out in unbounded exploration. So our jail, Old Castlemaine Jail Precinct. So on the 12th of April this year, I was on my sofa scrolling through the internet. We'd been looking for a new campus for some time, and I saw that the jail was for sale, and I shared it to Peter and went, second campus, ? And on the 2nd of May, after many hours crawling through all the nooks and crannies of the jail, we signed our contract of sale and began the process to settle into purchasing the old jail. So on the 29th of July, they gave me the set of keys. I was really upset because I didn't get a big circle dangly thing like a chief warden should have, or an old ka-chunk key. But I will be making sure I find one because I just feel I need it. My teacher lanyard at the jail is not complete without some sort of big brass key. So the jail concept is we have is that it is a precinct. The jail, it's a very, very large area. So the whole jail is a precinct. Within the precinct, we have Global Village Learning, which will be a learning community of up to 200 people and secondary students. And on the left-hand and as well, we have a cafe, a very beloved cafe for Castlemaine called the Governor's Cafe, because it is inside the old Governor's house. So the precinct will have, as part of it, the cafe, the school, and a lot of other things. So if we have a look at this is kind of, I know it might be hard to see, but the jail in itself has different parts to it. So the cell blocks, and we do have 88 cells that unfortunately, due to Australian building regulations, the doorways are too thin for us to use, but we do have 88 cells, great for storage, thank goodness. What school doesn't need storage, I say? This sort of purpley part will become part of our, let me just draw a little circle. So this area here is basically the school. And this will be where during the day from 9 till 3:30, it's kind of impermeable for community members to come into the school, but the school can go out. And the reason we like this is because the cafe, which is this area over here, our young people can be part of the cafe space and run that space and grab coffee and tea and whatever they like from there, not a problem at all. Over here in what will be known as the the artist, the craftsman's yard, we're going to have a blacksmith's forge, a pottery kiln, a pottery studio, a carpentry workshop, and a space generally for craftsmen. Castlemaine in itself is a beautiful community that leans very heavily into traditional arts culture while stepping in a beautifully professional 21st century way of living. They're very sustainable and very focused on their future of their young people. So we will also have in here an event space. So there's a couple of different out here that's not in here as an event space as well. And we can hold, you know, people's 18th, 20th. We've already had the Historical Society have an event here. State Festival will be having an event here. We're having a Halloween disco in the jail, if you don't mind. So can't wait for that. So we'll do community events for people. Again, our young people can touch base and be part of that space. They can learn the old arts of blacksmiths if they're interested in that. The Women's Shed, which is a beautiful community in Castlemaine, will also be setting up a space within one of the old workshops so that our young people can join in the different workshops that they offer and be part of and learn alongside the women in that shed. We've already have an intergenerational daycare group starting with us, a choir. So all these community groups that use the space, it's an opportunity for our young people with their personalized curriculum to be able to tap into them. The local radio station, which I think is one of the best community radios I've ever seen, will be setting up within the jail space as well, which means our young people can tap into music production. They can tap into being part of that radio space. And there is a residence in here so that somebody can live and be part of the community as well. So as you can see, the whole jail in itself is a lot of different bits, and together they become the precinct. Over here, I'm going to change colour because I can. In this garden in here, we have one thing we're trying to solve at the moment, and that's that when we purchased the jail, we didn't realise, well, we did, but we didn't, that it also came on the Heritage Victoria inventory list is 10 bodies. So our inventory includes the bodies of the 10 men that were hanged within the jail between 1861 and 1901. And during that period, they just buried them and didn't actually record where that was. So as a result of that, we have a no dig on the whole of the site at the moment. So you can imagine that's a little bit of a struggle for us. So we are working with the chief archaeologist at Heritage Victoria and our own heritage consultancy firm that we've engaged to find those 10 bodies so that we can actually note where they are and give them the peace that they actually deserve, as well as, yes, raise garden beds for the win, absolutely. But we're also trying to exclude where they are not so that we can start digging. We had, as part of that, and this is an example of how we work with young people, we had ground penetrating radar come in a couple of weeks ago. So I grabbed 3 to 4 of our young people who are quite excited about all things criminology and law and order, and they came along for the day to start exploring, and they started researching the information that we do have and helped us to find that. So it's a practical, hands-on, applied sense of learning, and that's how we focus with most our world. So this is going to be the precinct of the jail. So let's get then into a little bit of what we actually do within the jail and how that works. So for us, within the jail itself, we are a creative space, and it is actually one of our core capabilities. So we don't do outcomes at GVL. We know there's outcomes. We follow the ACARA curriculum, but we don't talk about them. We talk about capabilities and about some other frameworks as what drives our learning and what lifts us. So we like to say we unleash creativity and we unleash curiosity from the age of 4 right through the age of 20. So I'll just go through some of our structures a little bit and then place that into how that's going to work within the jail. So our huddles, So our core piece of measurement, growth, curriculum driver for us are our huddles that happen every 5 weeks. So our learning huddles are a mixture of guides, adult parents and young people all meet individually. So sorry, the three in a huddle. So a guide, a parent and a young person meet together 5 times every 5 weeks, so 8 times a year. And during that meeting, we set goals and reflect on the goals from the previous 5 weeks. We have a chat about our literacy and numeracy growth. So we do our PAT adaptive testing twice a year, and that testing becomes our core statistical data for our ACARA requirements for reporting around literacy and numeracy, marking on a 5-point scale twice a year. And our growth and impact framework, we talk about our growth through that. Our growth and impact framework is self-determination theory, and it is a really important focus for us. And then our goal setting, so reflecting and setting goals. The huddles go for about half an hour. And if I think back to the time when my children were in high school, they're now 29, 27 and 24, so it's a little while ago. But I would have loved the opportunity to talk to my young people's guides for half an hour to actually learn what happens and how I can support, because we see that for us, learning isn't just during the 22% of time that a young person is awake and inside a school building, but it's actually a 24/7 thing, and it does require parents to be involved. So we do ask our parents to step up and be part of the learning process that their young person is working through. So our huddles help us to do that. Within our huddles then, where our learner landscape is the focus of the discussion. So our growth and impact framework, I'll go through that in a second, is our self-determination theory. It's our well-being space. It's our growth from the inside to the outside. Our connected capabilities are our capability framework, and that's kind of like our space to grow in our capacity to impact the world. And then our zones of development are our biological markers that says a young person is ready to move from hub to hub. We don't have school years and we don't move every December. What we do is we have hubs that I'm actually going to plant that. We're going to chat to it in a second. So moving on then to our growth and impact framework. Our growth and impact framework is a bit of a kind of looking at self-determination theory from a slightly different lens, but we talk about our agency to step into our learning, our agency to really advocate for our voice. So at GVL, we have a saying, yes is the default. And this is something that Peter Hutton has brought with him from Templestowe. And it's a really uncomfortable place for an adult to sit in sometimes. But if a young person comes to me and wants to change an experience at GVL, then yes is the default, unless it's going to, and we run through with this with a young person. Hey, Pip, I want to do X, Y, Z. Sure, let's go through the markers, shall we? Is it going to take too much time? No. It's going to take 2 weeks. Fantastic. Is it going to cost too much money? Well, I've budgeted and I think it's going to cost $200. Okay, let's chat about that. And is it going to negatively impact on anyone else? No, it's just something I'm doing. Well, if that's the case, how can I help you move forward? So yes is the default is where we sit, and that helps young people to know that they can really ask for something and move forward. We can also appeal a decision on that. So if a young person doesn't like a decision a guide has given them around yes is the default, or indeed anything else, they can appeal that to a hub lead, and then that can be appealed to Peter or I. And even then, Peter and I, they can play mum and dad and say, Pip didn't like it, so I'm going to go and appeal to Peter. Peter will have a chat with me to work it out and then say yes or no, and vice versa. If they go to Peter and Peter says no, then they can come to me and we can discuss and move forward. So it really does enable that agency to step through. In terms of mastery, for me, this is mastery of their passions, mastery of a skill that they're really interested in. We have about an 80% neurodiversity in our community, so being able to help young people go down their rabbit holes is actually my job, and something that I wish I could have done as a teenager, as a neurodivergent autistic adult. To me, being able to have gone down down rabbit holes in my teenage years would have been amazing. So I'm basically just building a school I wish I could have gone to. And then community connections, which is our belonging component, right? So that allows young people to connect to their own groups of their peers, the GVL community, the Macedon community, and then the wider community as they get older. Our connected capabilities start on the left-hand side from 4-year-olds and work your way in a growing sense through to confidence and citizenship. So as a 4 to 7-year-old, 8-year-old, we're going to focus on curiosity and creativity as our key capabilities. We then add to that. We don't step away from it. We add to it communication and critical thinking from the age of about 7 to 12. Then we add on to that collaboration and community connections from the age of about 11 to about 16. And then from 15 to about 20, usually 18, but you can get funding until 20, we are going to stick with our confidence and citizenship. So you can see that I've done a lot of work around capability work, and this for me is just a natural fit for our community. Underlying our connected capabilities are our core skills of literacy, numeracy, and technology. I might even call numeracy mathematics, because we really do want young people to have really strong mathematical skills and problem solving skills in that area, including financial skills. So this is kind of like our outcomes, if you like, and layering that with our biological markers and our of development zones, and also the self-determination theory. That's kind of like what drives our pedagogy. When we set goals with young people, we ask them, what do you want to make, learn, and do? And we ask them to set roughly 5 goals. And all these goals are collected for me. And then these goals step into, I collect them, I use AI to crowdsource different project ideas, and then we offer those back to young people to choose. So all the time we're creating learning experiences that are enabling young people to answer and focus on their goals of making, learning, and doing. Very hands-on, as you can imagine. So the subjects of GVL, if we pull all of that apart, is that we have our core literacy and numeracy. We have discovery labs, which are guided projects where a guide doesn't stand out the front, but actually supports young people to step through a design thinking process to satisfy interests in specific areas. So, for example, we may discover from all those make, learn, and do goals that there's a lot of people wanting to do fishing at the moment. So we'll create a discovery lab around fishing, knowing that those with those goals will come along. And then within that discovery lab, one might be interested in sea fishing, one might be interested in fly fishing, one might be interested in sustainable fishing, but it's a general theme and we support them through that process. Those that are more sort of confident with project-based learning and design thinking, we scaffold them to just go off on their own journey and to, again, focusing back on their make, learn, and do goals, create their own projects. And we support that through some OneNote templates and things like that. And then we support entrepreneurship, because we do feel that if young people have a business when they leave with us, they'll never be without a job. So it's important that in a neurodiverse community, we acknowledge the ups and downs of the world and support them to have businesses so they can ride the waves as required. Our learning follows a design thinking flow. So all our projects from 4-year-olds right through to 20-year-olds will flow with the ACARA design technologies, or anyone who's played in design thinking will know this flow well. And we use this as a scaffold and an innate, an ongoing focus on authentic projects. I run my eyes over most projects that happen, and if I feel they're going to end up in a skip or on a USB at the end of the term, then at the end of the session, then they're not a project. So we're kind of really strong about authenticity. As a result of that, our authenticity, that authentic projects means we're not prescriptive with the creative tools that we offer our young people. So we do offer AI, and we do support young people to step into ChatGPT. We use Adobe Express. We offer that all the time. I often have young people asking for the different tools, and we just head back into Adobe Express. So we have that single sign-on these days. So that's lovely and easy for them to use. We use apps and sites as needed. We only block social media within our Wi-Fi, and we encourage exploration of any tools that fit the purpose of the tool at point. We have a huge laser cutter that does work with leather, wood, metal engraving, glass engraving. So we like to think that when young people step into entrepreneurship, they can actually actualize a business rather than just have it up to a prototype stage. So if a young person wants to use a vinyl cutter, for example, they would cut for a business, they would come to Peter and I and pitch Shark Tank style for some funds. We have about $10,000 set aside for young people as startup funds. They would come and say, I need $300 to buy materials for my business. This is my business. I'm going to pay that back to you within 6 months, and I'm going to give you 10% of my sales to pay that back. We agree with that and send that on with them, and let them, therefore, then they learn how to use the laser cutter and step into that maker space and do the work themselves. Ditto with a vinyl printer that prints stickers, prints t-shirt materials, and anything, basic any materials. We've got like a t-shirt pressy thing, so we've got a string of young people loving making clothing designs at the moment. They're loving making their stickers to put on glasses and on-sell those, anything like that. They can actually step forward with their business. We have power tools galore in the school. So we've got, and we're not afraid for young people to use that. We have a safe risk environment, so that we do provide young people, make sure we've got all the safety gear all the time, but we don't step back from using that. And we offer any sort of art resources. We do have within our senior space what we call our mini creative hub. And the creative hub has artists in residence visiting and staying for a couple of weeks at a time. So our creative hub young people have been chosen or have been offered to join the hub. And that's their job at school, to be in the hub 24/7. And we know they're the creative souls of the world. We know they're the ones that are going to step into a world filled with in the creative industries. So we encourage them to explore different media by ensuring that we have artists in residence visiting and dropping in and doing workshops all the time. We have an active relationship with LCI Melbourne, which is a private creative industries university, and we duck in and do workshops with them as we can. So to us, it's about unleashing that creativity so young people can explore a different world. So if these are our frameworks, then how does this sit within our day-to-day? So GVL, as I've alluded to, has 4 hubs within our structure, and these hubs are largely autonomous, with Peter and I supporting their growth as they need. So our foundations and play space is for 4 to 8-year-olds. Our exploration and discovery space is for 7 to 12-year-olds. Entrepreneurship and social impact is our 11 to 15-year-olds, and pathways and futures is our 15 to 20-year-olds. We offer the VCE vocational major for our senior students, which allows them to enter an alternative pathway to university if they wish, but also helps them to get a Year 12 qualification in a very hands-on and creative manner. Our young people move between hubs if and when they're ready. So you'll see that we have about a year buffer between hubs, so that not every young person on the 12th of December packs up their books and moves from one classroom to another. They move. We've just had a bunch of young people move in the last 5 weeks. We have transition programs where they do 1 day a week, then 2 days a week, and then 4 days a week, or whatever works for that young person, for a nice slow transition, not an earth-shattering change in the universe, so that they step up into the new space. We know they're ready to do this when they've met capabilities, they've met social determinants, so the growth and impact framework, and their biological markers markers are starting to show. So, for example, between exploration and discovery and entrepreneurship and social impact, it's that sweet spot of the adolescence is starting to come out. Like, I love teenagers, but we know that they get surly, they're very groupy, they become very and they love to advocate for their opinions, and we want that to happen. Whereas in exploration and discovery, they're working in their groups, they're looking at the world outside. So you kind of see this shift within young people. So we're in our growth impact framework and capabilities, we have some marker statements, some I can statements that form a conversation starter. Our hub work is not so much like that. We don't have markers for that because we feel it's a real biological thing. So we've got theories around it that we use, but no tight pigeonholing, if that makes sense. Within our senior space then, we also, to help all these this creativity and this learning to happen, young people will live in a crew. My cat's touching my mouse. I'm so sorry. Young people will be part of a 7-person crew, and this is often created among friends, and a guide will support them twice a week to meet together, to help each other through any issues, to plan any things, and to support. That 2 crews together create a huddle group, and this is the same guide. So when we have huddle meetings, the guides who meet with every single member of these at least once a day, know those young people so inside and out. It's not a difficult conversation to have. 2 huddles make a community, and communities do work in GVL and outside GVL for social impact activities. We then have 1, 2, 3 communities that make up a hub within our 7 to 10 zone. So while it looks like we're not structured, we've learned that our young people, through to be truly learner-led and adult supported, we need to have these sort of grouping structures to help them to move forward. So in any one week, crews will meet twice a week and give peer-to-peer support. Our huddles check in and out every day. So a morning check-in of what have we seen on the news, or how are we feeling today, what's our plans, with the guide. And the guide will also do ongoing elbow-to-elbow coaching with the young people, or support for the hybrid literacy and numeracy work we do. Our communities, as I mentioned, do social and community connections, and our hubs are our developmental cohorts. You can see this is one of the indoor courtyards. It's actually the graveyard courtyard, as it's called, up in the jail. The flow of our day, so at GVL, this is the inside of the jail, by the way, and this will be, I imagine, this is where the young people will be setting up school. And the brief for the young people as they begin orientation is that they get to design this space. So we'll actually go through a design thinking flow during their orientation for them to design the furniture and the spaces that they want in here. I do envisage lots of plants, lots of groupings of warm, fuzzy furniture, and space for young groups to kind of get together and collaborate. Our day begins with young people rocking up anytime that works with them. We'll do a check-in. They will have we ask young people to do 3 hours of literacy and 3 hours of numeracy a week. So they schedule that when they're ready. We offer either the Khan Academy, or we have a GPT app, which delivers up personalized literacy learning for a 3-week chunk for the week for each young person. And that's mapped to a full 4-year curriculum, a teaching plan like you would have back in a regular classroom. We have a 90-minute lunch break, which includes a 30-minute all young people and guides together in the hall having lunch. Up at the jail, we will give the young people a budget each week, and they will order their own lunch stuff, and they will make lunch together in our industrial kitchen as a bit of a cohort, or they can just make their own lunch, whatever they want to do. That'll be up to them, because it's a learner-led and adult-supported environment. And then in the afternoon, then as well, we have discovery labs being floated through the day. So they're kind of roughly scheduled for a young person to attend. Over the last 2 years, we've learned that young people crave schedules, and when you just take that away, they do just rot on their phones. So we acknowledge that, and we have a loose schedule for young people to create their own timetables, well, or not timetables, but schedules, while they get used to the flow of our learning, or they can do their personalized projects. But we do ask our young people to prove evidence of being happy and productive in their work each day. In our year 11 and 12 space, we have literacy and numeracy. We have on a 5-week cycle, they will on Mondays do mandatory literacy and numeracy work, Tuesday mandatory work-related personal development skills work, or let's just say over Monday and Tuesday, they do the mandatory things that we have to do as part of the VCE world. Then on Wednesday or Thursday, they go and join the VET or our diploma program. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Academy of Entrepreneurs in Australia to deliver a diploma of entrepreneurship or business, so that young people finish year 12 with a diploma, and that gives them second year entry into business university courses if they wish, or it actually helps them to get into lots of university, or they can just go out and do their vet courses. So we do have young people starting to do their automation, auto mechanic pre-apprenticeship. We have people doing animal care, all those regular vet TAFE sort of subjects. Then on Thursday and Friday, or for 2 days, we ask that they move towards an internship within an area of their studies. And that's where they can do their work placements for those vet courses, or an internship somewhere where they're just interested in. So they keep exploring those interests and keep moving forward. Or they come and just catch up and finish the work or do their TAFE homework. So the idea is that the young people are continually looking for areas of interest and searching what helps them to feel creative. In terms of how we structure our learning using AI, this is a bit of a flow of how we might come up with 25 discovery labs to suit our 75 learners. So we ask our young people to record their make, do and learn goals on a form for me. That form sits inside a spreadsheet that I pop up into ChatGPT and ask it to give me 30 rough ideas, combining as many of those make, learn, do goals as I can into a kind of groupings. We then give those groupings back to the young people and ask them to choose up to 5 labs that they might like to attend. We then grab that schedule that young people have all asked to do labs, and I pop that back into ChatGPT and ask it to create a rough schedule for us that has as few clashes as possible. And then we create the schedule and the labs start. As soon as those labs start, young people step into a ChatGPT we've created that's called Candy. And Candy, when they type in, say, fishing, let's go back to that fishing one, and they might say freshwater fishing, it will give them an 8-week project scaffolded along our design thinking flow with week-by-week activities and resources and all the information that's required for them to start setting up their portfolio of learning for that project. The guide then, our guides are not leading their discovery labs. The guides are supporting on the side and being kind of like the helpers and coaches. Oh, you're doing freshwater fishing. Gosh, I know nothing about that, but why don't we sit down and learn that together? I'm sure we can support each other. So using all the tools available to them, they step out to the world and start doing that. We also encourage going out as much as possible. Well, we do have a dam on the property. I don't think it's got fish in it at the moment. It's got yabbies in it, but not fish. Anyway, we would take them out we've got lots of buses to go and be in the real world as much as possible, because we believe working in a hands-on applied way in the worlds around us helps to build that curiosity and creativity in the topic and the problems that they're willing to solve. So that's how we would use to create our discovery labs.
Just a couple of minutes left, Pip.
Brilliant.
Sorry?
In terms of how do we use AI for literacy and maths, we have created an AI app which has all a program that said the literacy one has a whole 7 to 10 teaching and learning program in it, and it's week by week scheduled. So a young person, and I upload the PAT adaptive test data for each person into that GPT as well. And the young person types their Christian name, their what week it is, and that 3 options of work are delivered to that young person for them to take and do. They can come back to that GPT and ask for questions and interrogate as much as possible. If they don't like the work that's there, they can ask for more, and it'll change it up for them. And that answers our requirement around mandatory learning. So in a way, I'm using AI as the cheapest LMS in the country to create the work. We use Teams as our back end and the Class OneNote as our portfolio and recording of learning tool. So I guess as we move forward, for me, if I was stepping into a world like ours for the first time, I'd probably ask you to think about how can you help your young people to step away from being creators, or step into being creators, not just consumers. I think there's a lot of consumption of young people, and we want them to be creators of the world around us. How can you redesign your own learning spaces physically and digitally to allow that looseness, to allow the creativity to come through? I find in our neurodivergent space, the more masks are removed and the more the young people can be truly themselves, then we do see the creativity bubble through. And it's simple as soft furnishings, acknowledging sensory needs of young people in our spaces. And what would your learners do if the default was yes? What can you do to help? How can you put yourself in that uncomfortable space to allow yes to be the default for your young people? So I do encourage you to step out and help young people go down their rabbit holes to find their creativity and their curiosity, because I do honestly believe that's what the world needs the most at the moment. We'd love you to come and visit us whenever you're around in Melbourne, or Castlemaine. Come and see the jail. Won't lock you up, promise. And see a little bit of our world a little bit more. I am happy for any questions if anyone has any, or Al, if you have any. Thank you. Questions, Al?
Thank you so much, Pip. I've got no questions other than, do you need me to come up there and run a couple of courses for you?
Oh, please do. We'd love that.
Yeah. Look, it's such a wonderful idea. If people do have questions, please feel free to go in and post them. I know that we're at time, so if you've signed up to an 11 o'clock session, you've got time to go in and have a break, go in and grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab a cold beverage or sandwich or whatever it is that you need. Yep. Thank you so much, Pip. Very, very much appreciated. Really wonderful presentation. And thanks to everybody for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Great to see you. I'll see you all again at 1 o'clock, I think.